Buongiorno everyone. How are you doing today? I'm Alessandro Boga, the Italian specialist at Wilson Daniels. Today we'll have a double conversation, 30 minutes each, with the principals of two very unique wineries from the Veneto that we're very proud to represent at Wilson Daniels. First, we'll connect with the Elisa Dilavanzo, winemaker and general manager at Maeli, a estate located on the volcanic soils of Colugani. And then we'll speak to Matteo Bisol, the general manager proprietor of Venissa, winery whose vineyards sit in the Venice lagoon. These are two fantastic projects that have in common the winemaking and financial support by the Bisol family, Jallo and Desiderio, whose heritage is in Valdobbiadene and have a long history in producing Prosecco. I hope you'll be able to stay with us for the next hour to learn more about these two properties and their very unique wines. Now let me connect with Elisa.
Ciao!
Ciao Elisa.
Ciao
Come stai?
Alessandro! Hi everybody! How are you today?
Doing great, even though the weather is a little not that great. We have a tropical storm hitting New York today, so it
I
looks much
see.
better where you are right now.
Of course it is. Today is a little bit sunny, a little bit cloudy. Yesterday it rained a lot, and this is good for the vineyards for sure. But today is so and so, not too bad. It
Great,
would have
great.
been nice to meet you in the vineyards, but unfortunately the connection is not as good as here. But for sure, I'm very excited to greet you from Maeli Winery and to welcome you to Maeli. All of you who are now connected.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks, Elisa. So tell us more about Collegani. It's definitely an upcoming region from the Veneto, not as known as other regions. So please let us know more about the history of Collegani in terms of main characteristics like location, soil, main grapes, and mostly about Moscato Jallo, which is the grape that you're championing.
Okay, I have a map. I want to show you. Can you see this map?
It's a little
Here is,
blurry on my side, but maybe our followers are
okay,
seeing that.
okay, let me try to make it closer and closer. Is it better now? A little
Well,
bit
let's
more?
try.
Let's try.
Yeah.
So, okay, is better now?
Yep.
Okay, so Colugani is a small area in Veneto region. We are located in the south of Veneto region, and this small volcanic, very ancient land, it borders with Verona and Valpolicella area and Venice on the other side. So we are just 45 minutes from Venice, very close to Venice. The Ugandan Hills are the closest hills to Venice. That's why the Colugani are considered the hills of Venice. For sure, there are also historical reasons. For example, in the past, the noble families, the rich families, used to spend their holidays here in the Ugandan Hills, where they had their summer houses. And this is important because they used to bring with them different kind of grapes because they started the developing of viticulture, of farming and of viticulture in general. And I can tell you also a curiosity, just to underline the connection between the Ugandan Hills and Venice. Do you know that the pavement of San Mark Square is made of the same rock of Maeli vineyards? I want to show you this kind of rock. Can you see?
Yes.
This is the trachyte, and this is the volcanic rock of Maeli vineyards, which is also the volcanic rock of Euganean hills. And yeah, and it is also the same rock of the external walls of the winery. Can you see behind the winery?
Yes.
Okay. It's very important for us to underline the volcanic origin of this area, because you know that volcanic wines are a niche, represents a niche experience in the world of the wines, because they are only 1% of the wines in the world. So it's very important.
Well, what are the main traits of wines that are made on volcanic soil?
I'm sorry, can you repeat, Alessandro?
Well, what are the main traits, the main characteristic of wines that are on the volcanic soil?
Okay, it's not just a question of soil, but for sure soil is very important because it gives a specific mark to the wines. For sure, if you drink a wine coming from especially the south of Euganean hills, you can smell on the nose kind of note of flint, for example. And on the palate, there is a touch of bitterness, which is really connected, which is due to the volcanic soil. And in the Euganean hills, we have, I want to show you the map. We have a volcanic soil in the south of this small area where we have the winery in Baone. We are actually in Baone, which is a tiny village where we have the winery and where we have also 3.5 hectares of vineyards, where we grow Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Carmenère as well. This is the site the Rosso Infinito comes from, okay? Which is actually a blend of Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Carmenère as well. The peculiarity of this Bordeaux red wine is given by the presence of Carmenère, which is a kind of a clone, which is a clone of Cabernet Franc, and which is a French grape, but it first appeared in Italy right in the Euganean hills. So we feel like Carmenère belonged to us, okay? And in this area, we have a particular climate. I can tell you that is quite similar to the climate that we have in the south of Italy. For example, in Sicily, in the island of the south of Italy. Can you imagine, we have, just to give you an idea, here we have the plant, the capper plant, the prickle pear. So kind of a vegetation which is typical of Mediterranean Sea. And this is for sure a peculiarity of this region, because we have the 54% of the Mediterranean vegetation concentrated in this small area, which is really nice. But on the north side, it is completely different in terms of soil and climate. Here we have the temperature are slightly cooler, and here on the north of the Euganean hills, we have the yellow Muscat land. We have 10 hectares of...
Elisa, let's call it in the Italian way, Moscato Jallo. It sounds better.
Of course, I do. Moscato Jallo. Moscato Jallo, we have 10 hectares on a side known as Le Terre Bianche del Pirio, the Pirio White Lands. Pirio is the name of the hill, and White Lands is the name of the site. And the reason why it's called the White Land is that we have a particular kind of soil. I want to show you. This is the white marl.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see? It's a very friable rock. It's like in the region of Champagne. Can you see?
Yeah.
White marl and the limestone.
Chalky.
Yes, chalky. Look at the difference between the two. Soil north and south. Red grapes, white grapes like yellow muscat. And for sure, yellow muscat is the main character and the main player of our wines, of our white wines. We pay close attention to yellow muscat, first of all, because it's not any muscat, but is a yellow muscat from volcanic hills. So this really makes the difference. Because if I say Moscato, people can probably can think about sweet wine with big bubbles, full in aroma, sometimes flat, the wine that you can drink during the weddings, the celebration. This is not the Moscato that we have in this area. Our Moscato is a special clone, and is a special clone because it was born as a cross between a very old clone of white Muscat and the Chasselas grape variety. How to say, we have a little bit of Italy and a little bit of France in this grape, because the Chasselas is a French grape, was born in Loira region, then it moved to Switzerland and Germany. We don't know actually how and when it was able to arrive in Italy, in Uganda Hills, but for sure it was a kind of miracle, this cross between the white Muscat and the Chasselas grape. Okay, so this particular clone of Moscato grows just in Uganda Hills, and in this small area gives its best. And I have such a big passion for the yellow Muscat that I decided to express this grape into 5 different versions. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So the sparkling sweet that you probably know very well. Then we have the still and dry white wine. Okay. Then we have the Dila, which is actually the first and the only one traditional method, 100% yellow Muscat. And then we have the Dili, which is the pet nut, which is the wine bottled with its own yeast, with secondary fermentation in the bottle. It's a cloudy because there are the yeast inside. And Maeli mission is actually to express the potential of this grape variety, which in this area of Uganda sounds very different from any other place in the world. And the difference is due to the fact that here the yellow Muscat can age over the time, which is not usual. If you drink Moscato, you probably will drink a very young wine. But here, thanks to our particular soil, thanks to the particular climate, we can really make the wine that can refine over the time. And this is a difference. That's why we used to selling the wine after 2-3 years after the harvest, in order to give a complexity to the wines. When you taste Maeli yellow Muscat, you probably can feel the expression of the territory in the feeling of salinity, which it makes really the difference. So this yellow Muscat is not just focused on flower or driven by fruit only, but you can smell aromatic herbs, for example, like, for example, sage and rosemary. There is a touch of mint. And these aromatic herbs can evolve over the time into balsamic notes, which are very characteristics of the aging of the wine.
Yeah,
Which give,
yeah.
yeah.
Alexa is asking how many other producers are making wines with the Moscato Jallo, as far as you know in your area in Colugani.
Well, to make a Moscato Jallo is really common. What makes the difference is to make, for example, other expression of this grape, because the sparkling sweet is really popular, also the dry and still version, but we are actually the only winery to make the first traditional method, Brut Nature, by Yellow Muscat 100%. And we are kind of pioneers in this, in making a champenoise method. And this wine has been awarded because, for example, Bloomberg mentioned this wine in the top 10 of the best wines in the 2015. Then we had also a golden medal by Gilbert Gaillard, which is a guide, the guide of Champagne, for example. And then we had also the golden medal from Vini Buoni d'Italia, which is another very important guide in Italy, for sure. And then there is the Dili, which is the other version. We are talking about a kind of natural wine without added sulfites. Second fermentation inside in the bottle, okay? And this really represents Maeli style, because we are as natural as possible. In the vineyards, we have been turning to biological viticulture.
Organic.
And organic, yes, for sure. And this vintage will be very important for us because 2020 will be the first certificated biological vintage. So we are going to get the certification.
Great.
Yeah, and it's not just a question of trend. You know, sometimes is very, you can get the certification because it's trendy. But in this case, it makes sense for us because we have our vineyards inside a regional park where the flora and fauna and the vegetation are protected. So it makes sense to practice organic viticulture. And it makes sense also because Maeli Winery is composed by a team of 4 women. So can you imagine? We are very sensitive to the environment. We are very sensitive to organic viticulture and organic practices. And then in the vineyards, we have a team composed by an agronomist and entomologist who is a girl who studies insects. And then we have a botanic who is a guy studying plants and grass in order to keep the vineyard healthy, in order to keep the balance and the biodiversity in the vineyard.
Elisa, you become like the Moscato Jallo ambassador of Colugani.
Yeah.
You do a lot of work and you really believe in championing this grape. We can see you're making 4 different wines in all different styles. We're using only Moscato Jallo. But how did you get this passion, and how did you got here and really focus on Colugani as really your challenge?
Yes, you say, as you said, Alessandro, this is a challenge because it's not easy to speak about Moscato. Even if Moscato is one of the oldest grapes in the world, I think it's very fascinating because Moscato is a grape that can have 4 different colors, for example. It can be a white Muscat, like Moscato d'Asti, which is actually called Moscato di Canelli. It can be yellow, like the Moscato in Trentino Alto Adige, the golden Muscatelle. Then it can be pink, it can be dark, okay? But people didn't have a very deep knowledge about this grape because we are always used to drinking a sparkling sweet, sometimes a dry version. And I can tell you that it's very hard to make a champenoise method, for example. You need to have a deep knowledge about this grape. And for sure, you have to work a lot in the vineyard. That's why I consider this a challenge to celebrate the potential of yellow muscat through different versions. And I am proud to be the first generation of growers because I started the activity. My parents didn't own any vineyards, so it was me, as I fell in love with yellow muscat, that I decided to dedicate all my life to yellow muscat. But I was lucky because I was not alone, but I was supported by Bisol family. You know that Gianluca and Desiderio Bisol, they really appreciated my passion and the idea I had toward Moscato. And they thought it was very interesting, this project to express yellow muscat in different ways, in different style. That's why they supported the project. They helped me a lot to developing the knowledge of the yellow muscat in the world.
That's great. I mean, they have a great team. They have a lot of experience in winemaking, so you can only make things better with them. But here, the view and the image of Moscato is a very challenging grape to pair with food. So give us some pairing ideas that we can use with your wines, because it's sometimes seen too much as a too floral, too sweet wine that you can just drink it barely with dessert. So please tell us some of your creative ideas that you pair it with.
Okay, so let's start from the sparkling sweet. I used to say that this is not just a dessert wine, but it's perfect from aperitif to the dessert, because differently from, for example, Moscato d'Asti, which is definitely a sweet wine, you can match this wine to different kind of food. For example, soft cheese, and it goes well with Asian food, for example, sushi, okay? Because at the beginning, this is a sweet wine for sure, but in the end, it's very, very salty. So we have two different steps on the palate, sweetness and saltiness, salinity. And that's why it's very versatile. And this wine can also be matched to raw fish. For example, tuna tartare with a little bit of orange on the top. And for sure is very nice as an aperitif wine, and is very, very funny as a cocktail wine. You know, I wrote a book about cocktail. I asked the most famous barman in Venezia to prepare a special cocktail using fior d'arancio. So I collected all these different cocktails in a book called Cocktail d'autore, and it was very funny experience. On the other side, if you, for example, take the still and dry Bianco Infinito, is very, very, very nice with risotti and vegetables for sure. And
love
also
risotto.
Yes, risotto, especially with asparagus or bees, but it's very nice also matched to kind of white meat, okay? And fish as well. I like to match this wine to the salmon, for example, or all those fish, where there is a little bit of fat, okay, not for
Fatty
example.
fish, yeah.
Yes, sure. And white meat, for sure. And the champenoise, for sure, I would tell you, screams, and fish in general. Yeah, because this is really surprising. On the nose, you can smell the aroma of Moscato, so probably you think that you are going to drink a sweet wine, but on the palate, it's very, very salty. It's very surprising.
Yeah.
Yes, this is definitely the wine I feel very close to, because it is like my son. It is the first champenoise we made in this area, and it was very hard, but now I'm very happy to make it, for sure. And dedili, I used to say that is the wines that you have to drink when you are with your friends. Okay, when you want enjoy, when you want to relax, when you want to enjoy, you should open this bottle, because it's very, very easy to drink, and being so cloudy can remind to artisanal beers, for example. So people who love beer, probably these people will like this wine, because it's a good connection between people who love natural wines, people who like drinking beer, very easy to drink, and especially during the summer. So it goes well with salumi and cheese, very easy. Yeah.
Great. That's a great explanation. We definitely also saw some success of Moscato Jallo paired with the Asian cuisine, mostly
course.
for the fior d'Arancio. So
yeah, I think the fior d'Arancio is really perfect for Asian cuisine. Yeah. I can tell you that we have very good feedback from Asia, because we, for sure, export this wine in Asia, in China, and the feedback is good. They really like it. Yeah.
Elisa, we have a couple of minutes left. So is there anything else that you wanna tell our followers?
Okay, I would like to tell our followers to try the Jallo Muscat, and to be aware that we are in a volcanic area, and the volcanic soil gives this kind of salinity, and sometimes there is a touch of bitterness, which is also in the DNA of this grape. But it's so easy to drink. It's a kind of a different Moscato, and for sure, could be a very interesting experience to try the champenoise, because it's so unique, so different from any kind of traditional method made by Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Pinot, or the grapes that you can find in Franciacorta or Trento DOC or Champagne. To drink champenoise Jallo Muscat could be a unique experience. And then for sure, I'm very proud of our red Rosso Infinito, which is a true expression of our volcanic territory. Full in aroma, but not heavy. Elegant. The longevity is pretty nice. This wine can refine over the time for over 30 years. So let's drink Colugani. Let's drink Maeli.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Elisa, for the presentation. I wish I was there with you right now. Unfortunately, the tropical storm now is hitting New York, so I have to stay in.
Okay.
But yes, please follow up with any questions, and make sure to follow Elisa at Maeli Wine. Send questions directly to them. Thanks again, Elisa. I'll now drop the call. I'm going to be connecting with Matteo. Cheers. Have a great day.
Ciao,
Ciao,
grazie.
ciao.
Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, so now we're going to be connecting with Matteo. Here we are. Ciao Matteo,
Ciao Alessandro,
come
ciao.
stai?
Hello everybody.
My
Bene,
God,
bene,
it's so
bene,
beautiful
tutto
here.
bene.
So
Yeah.
beautiful. How's it going? We're good? Yeah.
Yeah, yes. We had rain today here at Venissa, but nothing
Hmm.
bad. So actually vines are happy to have some rain during this moment. So yeah, everything is going ahead. So we're very happy.
Better rain than a flood, right?
Yeah. Even if floods is what makes our wine unique, so
Yes, for sure. But
but so
sometimes also
dangerous at
makes
the same time.
makes you very anxious at the same time, right?
Exactly.
Okay, Matteo, tell us the story of Venissa. Um, it all started back in 2002 when your dad, Gianluca, saw vines on the island and wondered what they were, correct? Later, he
Exactly.
found out there was actually an indigenous variety from Venezia. So please tell us more about that.
Yeah, so first of all, we have to say that we are in the middle of the Lagoon of Venice. We are in the native Venice. So native Venice, we call it. This is the name because it's the area where Venice was actually started. We're talking about almost 1,500 years ago. So people from the mainland moved into these islands that are 20 minutes by speedboat from Venice, and this has been the first foundation of Venice. So we are in a very unique environment, and even from the naturalistic point of view, these islands are very unique. We're talking about islands where nature is very important, and the culture of this island is very different from Venice. Venice is a city of merchant, of richness. You have in your eyes the beautiful image of the Grand Canal, of the palaces, of the rich palaces of Venice. In this area, it's a completely different environment. People live with nature, side by side with nature. Burano is the island that is nearby Mazzorbo. Here we are in Mazzorbo. Burano is just on the other side of the bridge, very famous because of its colorful houses, because it's an island of fishermen. So they live with the water. And Mazzorbo used to be an island of farmers because they used to live with vines, they used to live with orchards, they used to live with vegetable gardens. So there's a very important part of the history of Venice that is based on agriculture. And this is something that was almost forgotten. And my father happened to discover by chance in 2002 when he was visiting Torcello Island, the third island of the native Venice. So Burano, Mazzorbo, and Torcello are the three islands of the native Venice. And he found that in front of the oldest church of Venice, that dates back to 693, there was a vineyard of Dorona di Venezia. This local grape variety. Obviously, you know better than me that in Italy there's more than 1,000 different grape varieties, and the reason is because this country is so different in terms of climate, nature, and soils. So here in Venice, in the Lagoon of Venice, the vines had to adapt itself to survive in this very unique environment.
Yeah, for sure. And tell us more about the Orona. So is that related to any other grape?
Yeah, Dorona, it's let's say it's a cousin of Garganega,
Mm.
Trebbiano. So this part of the family, but it has a very unique characteristic because it had to adapt itself to survive in this environment, which is completely different. If you want, Ale, I can take you around the vineyard just to
Please.
show our follower where we are.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah. So this is the vineyard of Venissa with the bell tower that is from the 1300s. And let's go this way. I want to show you something. Because we're really very close to the water. You can see like a house there that is the typical house of the rich Venetian people that used to come to this area to stay for the summertime. And now we're going out. This is the Dorona vines, and we're going now out of a walled vineyard.
The gate,
it's a close.
yeah.
It's completely
It's amazing.
closed by this wall, and we go here that we are really in the canal of Mazzorbo, and in this direction there's Venice. This is Venissa, and we have on the other side the Torcello. This the one with the campanile. It's the oldest church of Venice, and it's Torcello. So it's a very unique environment, and the incredible thing of this vineyard that is completely surrounded by this wall to defend it from the high tide. So obviously, as we were saying, the difficult thing to make agriculture here is obviously the salinity, because there's a level of salt in the soil that is more than 2 times what is considered to be the maximum of the level of soil that you should have in a vineyard. So actually, the expert told my father that he shouldn't plant the vineyard here because there was too much salinity to plant a vineyard in this environment. And I want to show you something else, Alessandro, because it's really beautiful through this direct that we can show also where we are. So we had to put the nets because of the birds. Because the Lagoon of Venice, it's a home to hundreds of species of birds that migrate to this area, and so we need to protect the grapes from the birds. These are the Dorona grapes.
Nice.
That now it's ripening. It will be ready in probably mid of September. But I want to show you something else that is really close to the grapes, and it's the type of herbs we have here. These are very typical herbs of the Lagoon of Venice that only grows in a salty environment. And these herbs is something we can even eat and use it in the kitchen. It's a type of spinach that grows only in the salty area of the Lagoon of Venice. And the beautiful thing is to see that where the vines are, there's some type of herb like this one that is a piantaggine. So this tell us that there is a certain level of salinity that allow us to make to plant the vine here. But if we move just like that, and we go in this area, we find a very similar plant that is this one. That is the piantaggine marina. That is the same type of plant, but it's the salt water one. So this means that actually, here it's possible to make a vine, to plant a vine, and here is impossible to plant a vine. So we're really working in a very borderline area.
At the edge.
It's really, obviously Gianluca, when he took a very big risk when he decided to plant a vineyard in this area. But we made this decision also looking to the herbs that were growing in this area. and look into the history of Venice, because we knew that there was this very big tradition of grape growing and winemaking in the city, and we felt that it was very important to bring back this tradition, because this city is so much based on tourism, and is kind of losing some of their of its tradition. But we think that preserving winemaking and preserving agriculture is very important to preserve an important part of the history of the city of Venice.
For sure. Now, even though the term heroic viticulture is usually for like high elevation vineyards, steep vineyards, this is definitely a type of heroic viticulture, because you're working in extreme conditions. So you work on the edge, as you were talking about earlier. So
it's a different type of heroic agriculture.
Exactly,
for sure.
But still working in extreme conditions. So how many times does the vineyard get flooded?
It's something that might happen maybe once a year.
Okay.
Not some year may happen even twice. Some year may not happen. We're always very worried when this is happening. And you know that in November, Venice had one of the biggest ever high tide of its history. So we've been very, very worried till April to see if the vine was surviving to this very unique phenomenon, because it reached a very, very high level that was very similar to the 1966 high tide that destroyed the vineyard of Venice. Because if today there are only very few vineyards in the city, it is because 50 years ago, even more 54 years ago now, in 1966, there has been this very big high tide that destroyed the vineyard of Venice, because the vines remained too much time under the salt water, and this destroyed most of the vines. Luckily, my father was able to find some of the last vines of Dorona di Venezia survived after the high tide, and from that vines, he found 80 vines. We made a selezione massale, so
mass selection,
it's not exactly to replant this vineyard that is 0.8 hectare, so it's 2 acres, and it's the only vineyard in the world of Dorona di Venezia. So it's a very, very unique vineyard, and it's very important to preserve the history of one of the most fascinating Italian grape variety. This grape variety that adapts itself to survive in the Lagoon of Venice, and it's actually telling us the same stories of the Venetian people that came here and found a way to maybe you lost a little bit. They find a way to live in this very unique environment that is the Lagoon of Venice. So I think it's very important for us to preserve this history.
And what you and your father have been able to achieve in that place is magical. The island and the place and everything you built around it's really unique. But tell us more also about the other grapes, because that Dorone is kind of the grape that started your project, but also you're planting other grapes on another island, correct?
Yeah, we actually didn't plant because we found this vineyard that it's a 50 to 60 years old vineyard that is Merlot and Cabernet, that is planted in the island of Santa Cristina, a very, very beautiful island in the middle of the Lagoon of Venice, completely wild area of the lagoon. And we found this very old vineyard. So we were very fascinated by this vineyard, and we found an agreement with the owner of the island that is Swarovski family to be able to run this vineyard. So still today we're very proud to be able to make this very small production, because we're talking about a production that it's between 2,000 to 4,000 bottles every year, not cases but bottles every year of both the wines. So it's a very small production that we make, but very unique wines. And it's important also with Merlot and Cabernet to see how the Laguna of Venice can reach such interesting level of qualities on these grape varieties that are grown all over the world. And so this is something really interesting. Then obviously Dorona di Venezia, the white wine with the local grape variety, it's such an amazing history and also such an amazing wine.
Yeah. So tell us now about the wines, the Bianco and the Rosso.
Yeah. Bianco Rosso. So we're now out with 2015 vintage of Bianco. It's a wine that, as you can see from the color, makes maceration on the skin, because this is the tradition of Venice. You have to know that in Venice, it was not possible to build wineries under the level of the surface. And this was very important in the past, because the building underground wineries, it allowed the wine to age better. And during the hot summer, like in Venice, it's very important to protect the wine against that. So usually, the people has always been underground wineries, because they didn't have the possibility to have a refrigerator technique at the time. So the Venetian people, they could not do it, because otherwise, with the high tide, their wineries would have been flooded and destroyed. So what they always did was to make a maceration on the skin, so to protect the wine with the natural technique of the maceration. So when we found this grape, we also met a very old farmer that was still producing few bottles of homemade wine with his own grape, and he was our master to get the inspiration for this technique. So we always work with the same technique, which is the technique of the traditional technique of the Laguna of Venice, because also the thing that he told us was that he opened his own bottle completely made in not even in a winery, but at home. And he was telling that the white wine from 30 years old was still good. So he told 3 out of 5 bottles were still good. So this was very important and very incredible for us. So we understood that we discovered something that is a white wine that can age like the best red wine, and so we always used this technique, and this is why you have the beautiful gold color of this glass. Dorona actually in Italian means the golden grape, and that's why we have this color.
And you bring that golden also on the label.
Exactly. Oh, one thing about the vinification, we make maceration for almost 1 month, and then we work with cemento. So we don't use
concrete
wood, because we don't want to have some flavors that comes outside of the vineyard, of the terroir, which is what really we want to bring in the bottle. And don't imagine a wine that is too salty, because the wine is actually, the grape variety adapts itself to survive in this environment. So it's actually able to leave the salt in the soil. The wine is really elegant. This is the incredible thing about this wine and this grape variety. There's way more salt on the red wine that is made with other grape varieties that are not used to live in this environment, let's say. Then on the Dorona. The Dorona it's adapt itself to leave the salt on the soil and to just to take the good nutrient that they need. But on the other side, the important thing for the red wine is that the salinity here on the Merlot, especially, is 80% Merlot based, so quite a big wine. It's really important to keep it verticale, to keep it straight,
Vertical,
and to
yeah.
give it the minerality. So it's actually a good thing to have it in the red one for us, because it makes a wine that is not too jammy, not too seared, let's say, but keep a very strong personality because of the minerality of the wine. And we were talking about the label. So we're in Venice, and Venice is also the city of glass, and so we wanted to find a way to put together few traditions of this city, and the tradition of glass making. It's something that is important, and we didn't want to put the wine in a bottle that was not somehow connecting with the other tradition of this city. We felt that it was not the right thing to do for such an incredible project. So we met this glass master by chance, and he heard about our project, and he said to my father, "I had an idea for your bottle. You should bake a gold leaf inside the glass." So the bottle is actually a normal bottle, but in Murano they bake a gold leaf because the gold leaf is made in Venice. Venice has this tradition of the gold beaters, and today there's only the last gold beater remained after there was a big tradition in the past, but today there's only one last gold beater. And in Murano, this gold leaf it's baked into the bottle. Each vintage has a different design of the gold leaf, and in each bottle is written the name of the wine, as you can see here, and the number of the bottle out of the total number of bottle produced that specific year. So it's a bottle that put together three traditions of Venice: the wine, the gold leaf, and the Murano glass making.
Not only the wine is unique and fantastic in its own way, also every bottle is really an artistic piece, we can say. So
we wanted to make something to carry on the traditions of this city. So we believe that wineries can be even more than just a wine producer. Through our work, we carry on the tradition and the history of this city, and we do it also in a very respectful way for the environment that is here, and so I think this is the most important thing. It's at the end, it's very important to make great wine, obviously, but we can also go beyond making great wines. We can be the people and generation that carries on tradition that otherwise we could have lost, and this is the most important thing. And it's what Elisa, that was with you, is making in the Colugani with the local grape variety of Moscato Jallo, and it's what a lot of Italian winemakers are doing, working on the indigenous and local grape varieties that I think it's such a big patrimonio of our country, and each one is a part of a history of Italy, and so we need to keep work to protect it, and obviously to make a great wine.
Yeah, absolutely. So all your bottles come in 500 milliliters, the ones that you have in front of you, and you have a very limited production of magnums as well, correct?
Exactly. Magnums, few, and very, very few 3 and 6 liters, but we're really talking about few bottles every year.
Yeah, and it's pretty hard to get in the end one. So, well, is there anything else you wanna add, because we are almost running out of time? So, there's anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to thank you and thank Wilson and Daniel for what they're doing for Italian wine, and I would like to welcome also the people that are watching. If you're coming to Venice, please come and visit us. It's we're just 20 minutes from the city, and it's very beautiful to discover this part of Venice, which is made of nature, which is made of fishermen, of farmer, and so I hope to see some of the people that are watching this Instagram live one day here at Venissa.
Yeah, I strongly recommend to go visit Venice. I had the pleasure of going there a few times. They have a resort, they have rooms, they've got 2 restaurants, and one of them is a Michelin star. So it's a very unique, it's an experience, Venissa. And of course, the landscape, the island is just beautiful. So, well, thank you so much, Matteo.
Thank you,
This was
Alessandro.
very good, very educational for all of us. For all of you, make sure you follow Venissa at Venissa_tenuta. Follow up with any questions directly to Matteo.
Yes, please.
And thanks again, and have a great day, and to next time, hopefully soon.
Thank you, Alessandro. Ciao a tutti. Bene.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.